Hare Krishna. Dandavata pranam to all of you. We'll get started.
The recording as well, Prabhu?
Yes. Thank you. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Thank you. Om Ajnana Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Twise Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, dear devotees, for your kind association. We are continuing with our study of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and we are currently in the third chapter entitled Krishna is the source of all incarnations. This is the third chapter of the first canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Last time we stopped at verse number 8, where the appearance of Srila Narad Muni is described. In the beginning of this chapter, the first 5 verses describe the Purusha avatars, Karunadaksha Vishnu and Garbhodaksha Vishnu, mainly. From verses 6 to 27, 22 different incarnations of Bhagwan will be described. We saw verse number 6 describes the Chatush Kumaras, the 4 Kumar brothers, sons of Lord Brahma. In the 7th verse, Lord Varahadev is described. 8th verse describes Shri Devarshi Narad Muni. Now we will continue from verse number 9. Let me share my screen. We will try to limit our discussions to exactly 1 hour, including the Q&A, because I received feedback that devotees have other commitments also, and we can add 1 day so that we can add 1 more day so that we can still cover everything. So this is verse number 9. And again, in the interest of time, we will not be reading all the verses. Turye dharma kala sarge nara narayana rishi bhutvat mo pashamo petam akarot duscharam tapaha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. In the fourth incarnation, the Lord became Nara Narayan Rishis, the twin sons of the wife of King Dharma, Nara and Narayan. They are the twin sons of the wife of Dharma. And what did Nara Narayan Rishis do? They undertook severe, exemplary penances to control the senses. They did tapasya, very difficult tapasya. Duscharam tapaha, they did. For what? Atma upa shama. Shama means to control. Atma means our senses. Sense control is very important for spiritual progress. Verse number 10 describes Lord Kapiladev. Panchama Kapilo Nama Siddhesha Kala Viplutam Provacha Suraye Sankhyam Tattvagrama Vinirnayam. The fifth incarnation is named Lord Kapiladev, and he is foremost among the perfected beings. Lord Kapiladev gave an explanation of the creative elements and metaphysics to Asuri Brahmana, for in course of time this knowledge had been lost. So Krishna gives knowledge, and when that knowledge in the disciplic succession is lost, Krishna takes it upon himself to revive it. Either he himself comes and revives it, or through his empowered representatives. When the knowledge of the theistic Sankhya philosophy was lost, there are two types of Sankhya philosophies that are prevalent, and both are by Kapiladev. But one Kapila is an atheistic Kapila, who is a more recent person. But the original Kapiladev, he gave the theistic Sankhya philosophy, where he gives the analytical study of this whole material world with Krishna as the center. So this is Lord Kapiladev, who was the son of Shrimati Devahuti Mata and Kardama Muni. And he gave Sankhya philosophy in a theistic way. Shashtham atrer apatyatvam vritaha prapto nasuyaya anvikshikim alarkaya prahaladadhi bhya uchivan. The sixth incarnation of the Purusha was the son of the sage Atri. Atri Muni's son. He was born from the womb of Atri Muni's wife, Anasuya Devi, Srimati Anasuya Devi, who had prayed for an incarnation of the Lord to come as her son. Lord Dattatreya, the son of Atri Muni, Lord Dattatreya spoke on the subject of transcendence to Alarka, Prahalad, and others like Yadu Maharaj, Haya, etc. The conversation, the teachings of Lord Dattatreya are there in the 11th canto, where there is a discussion between Maharaj Yadu and the Avadut Brahman, the 24 gurus of the Avadut Brahman. That Avadut Brahman is Lord Dattatreya in the 11th canto. Very beautiful chapter it is. Very interesting chapter also. Verse number 12. So that was Lord Dattatreya. He is also incarnation of Godhead. There were three sons who were born to Atri Muni and Srimati Anasuya Devi. There was Soma, who is incarnation of Brahmaji. There was Durvas Muni, who is incarnation of Lord Shiva, and there was Lord Dattatreya, who was an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Verse number 12. Tataha saptama ayu akutyam rucher yadnyo bhajayata sa yamadyai sura ganair apat swayam bhuvantaram. The seventh incarnation was Shri Yajna, the son of Prajapati, Ruchi, and his wife Akuti. Lord Yajna controlled the period during the change of the Swayambhuva Manu and was assisted by demigods such as his son Yama. So here in the purport to verse number 12, it is said that this Lord Yajna appeared as Indra during that Manvantara. And the reason was there was no qualified Jiva to take the position of King Indra. So the Supreme Lord himself appeared as Shri Yajna and became the Indra. And he was assisted by the demigods. This was the seventh incarnation described in verse number 12. Now let's go to verse number 13. Ashtame meru devyam tu nabher jata urukramaha darshayan vartma dhiranam sarvashrama namaskritam. As I am reciting these verses, all of you should also, wherever you are, you should recite these verses. Because the verses of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam are very powerful, very purifying. So in this verse number 13, Lord Rishabhadev is described as the next incarnation. The eighth incarnation of Bhagavan was King Rishabhadev, the son of King Nabhi and his wife Meru Devi. In this incarnation, Lord Rishabhadev showed the path of perfection, which is followed by those who have fully controlled their senses and who are honored by all orders of life. So all the ashrams, they honor, whether brahmacharya ashram, grihastha ashram, vanaprastha ashram, or sannyas ashram, they all greatly respect and honor the path showed by Lord Rishabhadev. And this is described extensively in detail in the 5th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Maharaj Rishabhadev, he had 100 sons. One of them was Maharaj Bharat, who was the eldest. The Navayogendras are also his sons. And he gave them very beautiful instructions in the 5th canto. And then he himself, like an Avadhut, he was roaming around the world, completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. He attained the perfection of life as Acharya. He's showing, although he's Bhagwan, he's showing. So based on some feedback I got, that first we should finish all the discussion, all the reading, and then we can take question answers together. So please note down your questions and we can have a discussion in the end. Some devotees felt that the flow of the class gets disturbed. So please forgive me. We'll try this technique. So verse number 14. Rishibhir yachito bheje navamam parthivam vapuhu dugdhe mam oshadhir vipras tenayam sa ushattamaha. So in this verse number 14, Maharaj Prithu is described. Parthivam. He was the ruler of the earth. So you see, different incarnations are representing different vibhuti, different aishwarya of Bhagwan. Maharaj Prithu, who was the king of the earth, represents the Palana Shakti. Then Lord Kapiladev represents the Vidya, knowledge potency of the Lord. So like that, different incarnations are representing different Shakti. O Brahmanas, so Sri Suta Goswami is telling Shaunak Adi Rishis, O Brahmanas, in the 9th incarnation, the Lord prayed for by sages. The sages prayed for the Lord to come. And therefore he accepted the body of Prithu Maharaj, who cultivated the land to yield various produce. And for that reason, the earth was beautiful and attractive. So this is described in the 4th canto in great detail. We will be fortunate to study this in the 4th canto. King Prithu Maharaj. He was born from the churning of the body of Maharaj Vena, who was very sinful. At that time, there was great disturbance. Maharaj Vena was a very sinful person. His father, who was the previous ruler, he got frustrated and he took sannyas. I don't want such a son. But then Maharaj Vena, he was ruling the kingdom in a very irreligious way, adharmic way. So the Brahmanas, they got fed up with him and they chanted a mantra and killed him. So the villain, King Vena, was gone. But then what happened? Because there was no king now, the rogues and the thieves and the dacoits and the terrorists, they got a free hand because there was no administrator. So they started looting and oppressing and troubling the general population at will. So the situation actually became worse than what it was during the reign of the wicked King Vena. Just see how this material world is. We try to give a material solution to material problems and it simply makes the situation worse. Prahlad Maharaj in the 7th canto teaches us this principle that material solutions to material problems doesn't work. And therefore, there had to be a spiritual solution. So the Vaishnavas and the Brahmanas, the sages, they came together and they prayed. See here it is said, prayed for by the sages. The sages, they prayed. And then they churned the body of King Vena, and from that body, a partial expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as King Prithu. And he ruled the land. He told Mother Earth to produce crops because Mother Earth had stopped producing because of the excessive burden of sinful people. In this way, Prithu Maharaj brought prosperity to this world. Verse number, so 14 describes King Prithu. Verse 15 describes Matsya avatar. Rupam sajagre matsyam chakshusho dadhi samplave nav aropya mahimayam apad vaivasvatam manum. When there was a complete inundation after the period of Chakshusha Manu, and the whole world was deep within water, the Lord accepted the form of a fish, Matsya avatar, and protected Vaivasvat Manu, keeping him up on a boat. So this is described in detail in the last chapter of the 8th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So this is Matsya avatar. He protected Vaivasvat Manu, and who was King Satyavat. So he protected King Satyavrat, who later on became the son of the sun god Vivasvan. He became Vaivasvat Manu. So this is Matsya avatar, who protected during the inundation when the period of Chakshusha Manu got over. So this purport to verse number 15 is very interesting. I found it very interesting. You can all read this purport. Here, Srila Prabhupada explains that the original commentator of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Shri Sridhar Swami, he writes that after every Manu, in one day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus. After each and every Manu, it is not necessary that there will be devastation, there will be inundation of the world. But in the commentary, Srila Jiva Goswami writes, giving a lot of evidence from the Shastras like Harivamsha Puran and other Puranic literatures, that after every Manu, there is partial devastation. And then Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also in his commentary agrees with Srila Jiva Goswami. So here we see, we have the original commentator of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Srila Sridhar Swami, who precedes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also in the chronology. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Antya Leela of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita profusely glorifies Srila Sridhar Swami and says that every commentator of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, every devotee must refer to the commentary of Srila Sridhar Swami. But here we see our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya, Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, are apparently making a commentary that is opposed to what Srila Sridhar Swami is saying. So this is just an apparent contradiction, my dear friends. Srila Sridhar Swami is saying that it is not necessary that after every Manu, there should be devastation. And Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur are saying that there is a partial devastation after every Manu. Now, this can be reconciled because there are so many universes. There are millions of universes, millions of Brahmandas. And each Brahmanda, every day there are 14 Manus. And Brahmaji, 1 month is 30 days and 1 year is 360 days. And he lives for 100 such years. So many Manus come and go. So it may be possible that in some universe, sometimes there may not be annihilation also. So it's a detail, and we should not think that there is contradiction amongst the acharyas. No, these are minor details, and everything is not black and white. There are shades of gray, and sometimes two things can be true. It is not necessary that always it has to be only one thing that is correct. There can be more than one things that are true, because there is a lot of variety in this world. There is a lot of variety in Krishna's creation. And the acharyas are writing what is being revealed to them by Krishna. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is described that all the acharyas who are giving their philosophy, they are doing it, all the bona fide acharyas, they are doing it under divine inspiration. What Shripad Shankaracharya gave has a particular purpose, and he did it on the orders of Lord Krishna. What Shripad Ramanujacharya gave is what was inspired to him. Srila Nimbarkaditya gave something little different, but that was what was revealed to him by Krishna. That was Krishna's plan, Krishna's arrangement. So all these different tikas, Advaitavad, Vishishta Advaitavad, Dvait Advaitavad, all these different philosophies, Achinta Bhedabhai Tattva, these are all ultimately creations of Krishna, and they have a specific purpose. Shuddha Dvaitavad of Shripad Madhvacharya. So there are so many philosophies, but these philosophies are given by bona fide acharyas based on what Krishna is revealing to them. Acharyas are describing Leela that they are visualizing by the mercy of Krishna, and they are writing it as it is. And there is variety in Krishna's Leela. And therefore, there may be different descriptions of the same principle by different acharyas. That should not be seen as contradiction. That should not be seen as one acharya is wrong, one acharya is right. No, both are right. The acharyas are always right. Once, Srila Prabhupada was in Boston, and there was an American boy who was doing his PhD in Eastern philosophy. He was not a Hare Krishna devotee. He was not a ISKCON devotee. But he was curious that one Swami has come from India who is considered to be the greatest scholar of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So this student of Eastern philosophy was very much interested because he was focusing on Hindu studies. So he came to meet Srila Prabhupada in Boston and he asked Srila Prabhupada a question that Srila Prabhupada, if your culture is the best, then why is there so much contradiction amongst the acharyas? The student was referring to Shripad Shankaracharya speaking Advaitavad, Shripad Madhvacharya speaking Dvaitavad, Shripad Ramanujacharya speaking Vishesha Advaitavad, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaking Achintya Bheda Bhed Tattva. So he's saying why these different acharyas are coming up with different philosophies. Why are they having so many contradictions with each other? Why are they having so many differences of opinion with each other? So he asked a very long, complicated question to Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada gave a perfect one-line answer. This answer is based on the deepest truth, and it is based on realization and deep understanding. Srila Prabhupada looked at that philosophy student and said, among the Mahajans, among the Acharyas, there is no contradiction. Bas, that's all Srila Prabhupada said. But this is the crux of it, that different acharyas are writing in Samadhi Bhasha. In their Samadhi, what Krishna is revealing to them, that they are writing. And there is variety in the spiritual world. There is variety in Krishna Leela. And therefore, different acharyas will write differently. And that should be accepted by sincere devotees. As long as the acharya is an authorized acharya, the real acharya. So this was Matsya Avatar. Verse number 16. Sura Suranam Udadhim Matnantan Mandarachalam Dadre Kamatha Rupena Prishtha Ekadashe Vibhuhu. The Ekadash, the 11th incarnation of the Lord, took the form of Kurma, tortoise, whose shell served as the pivot for Mandarachal, the Mount Mandar, which was being used as a churning rod by the Sura and Asura, by the theists and the atheists of the universe, the Devatas and the Daityas. So this Kurma avatar is the 11th incarnation. And Kurma avatar has got very special significance for all of us in the family of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Can someone unmute and tell what is the significance of Kurmadev for all of us in our Sampradaya? Yes, Amrit Gaurangi Mataji.
So it was given as a deity for worship by the Guru to the disciple.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Amrit Gaurangi Mataji. So Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur was the first Diksha Guru of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. When Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Bimala Prasad was just 5 years old, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Mahashaya initiated him into chanting Harinam, gave him a Shaligram Shila, a Kurma Shaligram Shila, Kurmadev, and gave him also the Kurma Gayatri Mantra to chant. And Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur instructed Shri Bimala Prasad, who would later on become Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, that by worshipping Kurmadev, one becomes very steady in one's devotional service, in one's bhakti. Just like Kurmadev steadied Mandarachal during the churning, we are also churned in this material world. There's a world of dualities, back and forth. Sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are sad, sometimes we are elated, sometimes we are depressed. Sometimes we are successful, sometimes we are failures. Sometimes we are honored, sometimes we are dishonored. Sometimes our sadhana is going well, sometimes we are not able to finish our rounds in the morning. So we are always going through ups and downs in this world. But Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur says that one who sincerely worships Lord Krishna in his form as Lord Kurmadev becomes very steady in one's devotional service. So this is Lord Kurmadev. Verse number 17. Dhanvantaram dvadashamam trayodashamam evacha apayayat suran anyan mohinya mohayan striya. In the 12th incarnation, the Lord appeared as Shri Dhanvantari. Who is Lord Dhanvantari? He is the initiator of the science of Ayurveda. There are some Vaidyas, every day they chant 108 times the Dhanvantari mantra. So Ayurveda is a very nice form of medicine where it is entirely based on the teachings of Bhagavan. Think about it. Whereas Western medicine, which is what most of us take those medicines, and it is based on the ascending process, not the descending process. We are trying to analyze, experiment, hypothesize, and invent different medicines. But it's constantly evolving science. Whereas Ayurveda is a much more sattvic form of medicine, where there is no animal testing, there are no guinea pigs that are killed, there are no rats that are killed in experimentation, there are no toxic side effects when it is practiced properly. So Ayurveda was thankfully given to all of us by Krishna in his incarnation as Lord Dhanvantari. In the 13th incarnation, the Lord allured the atheists by the charming beauty of a woman and gave nectar to the demigods to drink. Apayayat Suran, gave the nectar, Amrit, to the devotees. And Mohinya, he, with his very charming beauty, Mohayan Striya, in the form of a woman, in Mohini Murti, he Mohayan, he bewildered the atheists. So it's a question of faith. This teaches us that if we are faithful, if we want to serve Krishna, then Krishna's energy will protect us. Yogakshemam vahamyaham, daivim prakriti ashrita, bhajantya ananya manaso jnatva bhutadim avyayam. So daivim prakriti ashrita, mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakriti ashrita. We should always be under the devotional potency of Krishna. If we want to exploit Krishna's resources, we want to cheat, then we will be bewildered by the Maya Shakti, the beauty of this world. Kanaka, Kamini, Kirti. These three things will bewilder us. Beauty of the opposite sex, desire for wealth and collecting property and different articles selfishly, and wanting to become famous and popular, fame, Kirti. And all these three, Kanaka, Kamini, Kirti, gold, enjoyment and becoming popular in the opposite sex, and collecting fame and reputation for one's own self. These three things are very big stumbling blocks on spiritual progress. Think about it. If we want to become even among devotees, if you want to become a popular speaker of Harikatha, or a popular kirtan singer, or a popular mridanga player, a popular pujari, or a popular manager, fundraiser, whatever may be our service, or a very good looking devotee, whatever it is, but all these opulences, all these vibhutis, who do they belong to? All fame, all glories belong to Guru and Gauranga. So if we want them for ourselves, we want people to praise us. Oh Prabhu, what nice Harikatha you speak. Oh Mataji, how beautifully you sing. If we want any praise to be directed towards ourselves, we want to become the center, then we will get attention, we will get popularity, but we will not get Krishna Prem. And without Krishna Prem, our life is completely indigent, completely poverty stricken. Krishna prema bina vyartha daridra jivana. So that is an important point to remember. Verse number 18. Chaturdasham. Oh, Chaturdasham. So Lord Narasimhadev is described here as the 14th incarnation. And Lord Narasimhadev appeared on which day? Can someone tell? Narasimha?
Chaturdashi.
Chaturdashi.
Yeah, 14th day. Narasimha Chaturdashi. Chaturdasham Narasimham Bibrad Daitendram Urjitam Dadara Karajair Urav Erakam Katakrit Yatha. In the 14th incarnation, the Lord appeared as Shri Narasimhadev. And what did he do? See the beautiful description. He bifurcated the strong body of the atheist Hiranyakashipu with his nails. How? Just as a carpenter pierces a cane. I have seen a carpenter or a person who is selling ganne ka juice, sugarcane juice, will take a ganna stick and with a sharp knife will just slice through it. So like that, Lord Narasimhadev, he just Tavakara Kamala Varena Kamadbhuta Shringam Dolita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bhringam. He just destroyed Hiranyakashipu. That was the 18th that was the 18th verse. 18th incarnation. 18th verse, but it was the 14th incarnation. Thank you. Lord Narasimha. Nara means man, Simha means lion. And we also call him Nara Hari. Can someone explain what is the meaning of Nara and what is the meaning of Hari?
Nara means person, human, and Hari means lion.
Very good. Hari here means lion. Hari also means lion. So Nara Hari means man, Hari means lion. Thank you, Kirtana Sundari Mataji. So then we go to verse number 19, which describes the 15th Panchadasham, 15th incarnation. Panchadasham Vamanakam Kritvagad Adhvaram Bale Padatrayam Yachamana Pratyaditsustri Pishtapam. In the 15th incarnation, the Lord assumed the form of a dwarf Brahmana, Vamana, and visited the arena of sacrifice arranged by Maharaj Bali. Although at heart, Lord Vamanadev was willing to regain the kingdom of the 3 planetary systems, he simply asked for a donation of 3 steps of land. So this is very sweet. The Devatas, headed by King Indra, they wanted their kingdom back, which the more powerful king Bali Maharaj had taken. And Bali Maharaj is a Daitya. He is in the line of Diti, whereas Indra is the son of Aditi. So the Devatas, they prayed, and on their behalf, Mother Aditi prayed. And as a result of her prayers, she got the Supreme Lord as her son. Younger brother of Indra is Vamanadev. Now, Shri Vamanadev is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Mother Aditi wanted Lord Vamanadev to get the kingdom back for her sons, for the demigods. She wanted it back from the Daityas. Now, Lord Vamanadev could have killed Bali Maharaj, just like Lord Narasimhadev killed Hiranyakashipu, or Lord Varahadev killed Hiranyaksha. Lord Vamanadev could have also fought with Bali Maharaj and killed him. But he did not do that. Why? Because Bali Maharaj is a Mahajan, a great devotee. Bali Maharaj is a Bhakta. Whereas Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were manifesting their Leela as demons. But Bali Maharaj, although in the family of demon, in his heart, he was a devotee. So he was not killed. But Vamanadev gave him special mercy. He just begged 3 steps of land. In 2 steps, he covered all the 3 planetary systems. In the first step, he covered Earth and the lower planet systems. Second step, higher planetary systems. And there was nowhere to keep the 3rd step. So he asked, he became Trivikram. He asked Bali Maharaj, where do I keep my third step? You have become a liar. You promised me 3 steps of land, but there is nowhere to keep my third step of land. Third step. So Bali Maharaj said, in 2 steps, you have taken away everything that I possessed, but you have not taken me. So in your third step, you take me. Atma Nivedanam. I surrender myself to you, my Lord. So in this way, Lord Vamanadev was completely conquered by the love and Sharanagati, surrender of Bali Maharaj. And he said that I will give you even a more prosperous kingdom than this earthly kingdom or heavenly kingdom. I will make you the king of the Rasatal planet, but it will be even more opulent than Indra. And I will be your doorkeeper. I will always be there with you. So this is the mercy of Lord Vamanadev on his devotee. So that was the incarnation number 15. Then we go to verse number 20, where the next incarnation, 16th incarnation is described. Avatare shodashame paschan brahma druho nripan tri sapta kritvaha kupito nikshatram akaron mahim. The 16th incarnation of Godhead, the Lord as Bhrigupati. Keshavadhrita Bhrigupati Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare. As Lord Parshuram annihilated the administrative class, the Kshatriyas, 21 times, being angry with them because of their rebellion against the Brahmanas, who are the spiritual intelligent class. So very beautiful pastimes of Lord Parshuram, also described later on in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So he came as a son of Jamadagni. And what was his mother's name? Renuka?
Yes,
Renuka. So verse number 21. Tata sapta dashe jataha satyavatyam parasharat chakre vedataro shakha drishtva pumsolpamedhasaha. So we are alpamedhasa, we are less intelligent. Who is the 17th incarnation? Thereafter, in the 17th incarnation of Godhead, Shri Vyasadev, Bhagavan Vyasadev appeared in the womb of Mother Satyavati through Parashar Muni. And what did Shri Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa do? He was born on the Dweep, on the island. What did he do? He divided the one Veda into several branches and sub-branches. Puranas, Upapuranas, Upanishads, Itihasas, and others. Why did he do that? Why did he divide it? Seeing that people in general were less intelligent. Why do we need Subodhini? Because we are less intelligent. Subodhini is also like that. It is divided. There are flowcharts. There are charts. Things are highlighted. Things are in italics, bold, different colors, color coded, so that we can understand. Otherwise, such a big 18-volume Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, although Srila Prabhupada has given it so nicely, we will not be able to absorb it and understand it. So for Alpa Medhasam, for less intelligent people, Bhagavan Vyasadev, he took the one, actually there is one Akhanda Ved. It is eternal, it is coming from the breathing of Lord Vishnu. It is not different from Lord Vishnu. It is one Ved. Tene Brahma Hridaya Ādi Kavaye. This Brahma, it is Shabda Brahma, it is Akhanda, it is one. But Bhagavan Vyasadev, he categorized it, divided it into 4 Vedas, Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Atharva Ved, Sama Ved, so that we can understand 108 Upanishads, 18 Puranas, like that. He just divided everything so that we can read it in a easier way and assimilate it. Verse number 22. Nara devatvam apanna surakarya chikirshaya samudra nigrahadini chakre viryan ataparam. In the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as Shri Ramachandra. In order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods, he exhibited superhuman powers by controlling the Indian Ocean and then killing the atheist king Ravan, who was on the other side of the sea. So this is our Naravat Leela of the Supreme Personality of God, Bhagwan, Shri Ramachandra. So he came. And he is the incarnation number 18. Let's go to verse number 23. Ekona vimshe vimshatti me vrishnishu prapya janmani Ramakrishna viti bhuvo bhagavan aharad bharam. In the 19th and 20th incarnations, the Lord advented himself as Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna in the family of the Vrishni, Yadu dynasty. And by so doing, what did he do? Bhagavan aharat bharam. He removed the burden of the world. And this will be described in the 10th canto exclusively. Verse number 24. So Balram and Krishna, Balram are considered as one in this list of 22 incarnations. Now verse number 24. Tata kalau sampravritte sammohaya suradvisham buddho namnanjana sutaha kikateshu bhavishyati. Then in the beginning of Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as Lord Buddha, the son of Anjana, in the province of Gaya, just for the purpose of deluding those who are envious of the faithful theist. So animal sacrifices were rampant and people were killing animals in the name of Vedic sacrifices. Supreme Lord, out of compassion for the poor animals, to prevent their slaughter, he came as Lord Buddha and preached non-violence. Verse number 25. Athasau yuga sandhyayam dasyu prayeshu rajasu janita vishnu yashaso namna kalkir jagatpatihi. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport of the previous verse that just see the authenticity of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, which was written 5,000 years ago, and Lord Buddha appeared only 2,600 years ago. So many centuries before the advent of Lord Buddha, the advent of Lord Buddha has been correctly predicted in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Even if you look at the previous verse, it says Bhavishyati. Kikateshu Bhavishyati. That this Buddha, Lord Buddha, Buddha Namna, he will come and he will be the son of Anjana Sutta. He will be Anjana Sutta, the son of Anjana. Anjana Sutta means son of Mother Anjana. Anjana. And Bhavishyati, he will come in the future. So this shows the authenticity of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Verse number 25. Athasau yuga sandhyayam dasyu prayeshu rajasu janita vishnu yashaso namna kalkir jagatpati. Thereafter, at the conjunction of two yugas, the Lord of the creation will take his birth as Shri Kalki Dev, Kalki Avatar, and become the son of Vishnu Yasha. At this time, almost all the rulers of the earth will have degenerated into plunderers. So it is clearly mentioned that Yuga Sandhyayam, at the end of Kali Yuga and the beginning of Satya Yuga, Kalkihi Jagatpati. Kalki will come. Kalki Avatar will come. Shri Kalki Dev will come. But there are people in India right now who claim to be Kalki. So they are wrong, because Kalki Avatar comes Yuga Sandhyayam, not at the beginning. This is still the beginning of Kali Yuga. So such people are bogus. So Kalki is the 22nd incarnation. After describing, so again, these verses 6 to 27 are in response to the question in the first chapter of this canto by the sages that please tell us about the different avatars, different incarnations of Godhead. So they were described. Now verse number 26. Avatara asankheya hare sattva nidher dvija yatha vidasina kulyaha sarasahasyu sahasrashah. O Brahmanas, the incarnation of God are innumerable. Asankhya, innumerable incarnations are there, just like small rivulets, small creeks, lakes. They come from inexhaustible sources of water. There will be one source of water and many rivulets may come. Similarly, there is one Bhagavan Krishna and many rivulets, many streams, many creeks flow out from that one source. Rishayo manavo deva manu putra mahaujashaha kalaha sarve harer eva saprajapataya smritaha. All the rishis, manus, demigods, and descendants of Manu who are especially powerful are plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. This also includes the Prajapatis. So all these rishis, the different Manus, the demigods, the Prajapatis, they are all specially empowered. They are powerful. And they may be Maha Ojasa, very powerful. Kala, they are portions of the plenary portions of Bhagwan. Many of them, like Swayambhuva Manu is an incarnation of Bhagwan. So like that. Text number 28. This verse is very important, my dear friends. This verse is the Paribhasha Sutra of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, according to Srila Jiva Goswami. Ete chamsha kala pumsaha krishnastu bhagavan swayam indrari vyakulam lokam mridayanti yuge yuge. All of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Shri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. Lord Krishna incarnates to protect the theists. Indrari Vyakulam Lokam. Whenever the theists become Vyakul because of Indrari, because of the enemies of Dharma, then Mridayanti, to give them protection. To give them protection, Krishna comes. Yuge Yuge. Paritranaya Sadhunam, he comes. So this is an answer also to the third question. Why did Krishna appear in this world as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva? For Mridayanti, to give protection. Paritranaya Sadhunam. So this is a very important verse. This clearly proves that Lord Krishna is Avatari. Sarva Avatari Krishna Swayam Bhagavan. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita describes. Sarva Avatari Krishna Swayam Bhagavan. Tahara Dutiya Deha Shri Balaram. So Krishna is the origin, fountainhead of all incarnations. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna is the source of everyone. Sarva Karana Karanam. Verse number 29. Verse number 29 is Phala Shruti. So you saw that we read each and every verse. All the verses that describe the different incarnations, we read each and every Sanskrit verse. And here Sri Suta Goswami gives a Phala Shruti. So Phala Shruti is there everywhere. It is there in Bhagavad Gita. Anyone who studies our conversation with their intelligence, worships me with their intelligence, like that. So Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, at various places there are Phala Shrutis. Prithu Maharaja's pastime has a Phala Shruti. Gajendra Moksha has Phala Shruti. This chapter has Phala Shruti. There are many Phala Shrutis in the 10th canto also. And our acharyas have given so many ashtakams. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur gives Phala Shrutis everywhere throughout Chaitanya Bhagavat. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also gives Phala Shruti in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And all the ashtakams also, they have Phala Shruti in the end. So there is Phala Shruti practically everywhere. And this is because it is factual and it is also meant to encourage all of us. Janma Guhyam Bhagavato Ya Etad Prayato Naraha Sayam pratar grinam bhaktya dukkha gramat vimuchyate. Whoever carefully recites the mysterious appearances of the Lord, Bhagavan, with devotion in the morning and in the evening, gets relief from all miseries. Dukkha gramat vimuchyate. Will get relief from all miseries of life. That is a Phala Shruti. Very nice Phala Shruti. You'll get relief from all miseries. But again, our purpose is all these Phala Shrutis Krishna is giving. Krishna is very kind. But what we really want is Krishna Prem. Krishna Prema Bina Vyartha Daridra Jivana Dasa ko he vetana mora Deha Prema Dhana. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches us to pray like this. Krishna Prema Bina Vyartha Daridra Jivana. Without Krishna Prem, life is poverty stricken. Dasa ko he vetana mora Deho Prema Dhana. If Krishna says, what do you want for all the Hare Krishna you are chanting, all the Ekadashi Vrat you are doing, all the 4 regulative principles you are following, all the Vaishnava Seva you are doing, all the deity worship you are doing, all the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Swadhyaya you are doing, what do you want in return? Ask for any benediction. Dasa ko he vetana mora Deho Prema Dhana. The only vetan, the only salary, only remuneration that I ask is not na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitamba, jagadisha kamaya. No, I don't want. What do I want? Deho prema dhana. Hey Krishna, I want prem. I am prem bhikari. I am begging for prem. I just want prem. Radha Krishna Prana Mora Yugala Kishore Jivane Marane Gati Aranahi Mo Tesham Satayuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. We want Priti Purvak Bhakti. Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhavatad Bhaktir Ahaitu Tvai. That's what we want, Krishna, nothing else. We want to serve you. Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram. What can I do for you? Please engage me in your service. There's nothing else we want. Etadrupam Bhagavato hi arupasya chidatmanaha maya gunair virachitam mahadadi viratmani. The conception of the Virat Roop, so now the theme changes from verse number 30 to 34, the Virat Roop will be described. So we'll quickly go through this. The conception of the Virat Roop, the universal form of the Lord as appearing in the material world, is imaginary. It is clearly mentioned here that it is imaginary. It is to enable the less intelligent and the neophytes to adjust to the idea of the Lord having a form. But factually, the Lord has no material form. Because the Lord is Satchidananda Vigraha. He is not, he doesn't have a Bhautik Deha. He has Satchidananda Vigraha. Verse number 31. Clouds and dust are carried by air, but less intelligent persons say that the sky is cloudy and the air is dirty. Similarly, they also implant material bodily conceptions on the spirit self. So there is no material body to the spirit. But we say that, oh, the sky is cloudy. Actually, the sky is not cloudy. There are clouds in the sky. But the sky is completely independent of the clouds. We say that, the air is very dirty. The air is dusty. Actually, air is pure. But we are experiencing some dust. That's all. So similarly, we superimpose a material form on the Lord. And that is the Vishwaroop or Virat Roop. Two names, same form. It is a form of the Lord, but it is an imagined form and it is temporary. At the time of annihilation, it becomes unmanifest. Beyond this gross conception of form is another subtle conception of form which is without formal shape and is unseen, unheard, and unmanifest. The living being has his form beyond the subtlety. Otherwise, he could not have repeated births. So this is a very important concept, very simple to understand. Just like we have this gross body, this is like the Virat Roop. consisting of the different planetary systems. Now, within this body is the subtle body, the Sukshma Sharir. This is the Sthul Sharir, gross body, and inside the Sthul Sharir there is a Sukshma Sharir consisting of the mind, intelligence, and false ego. Similarly, the Virat Roop has a gross form consisting of the different planets, and also there is a subtle form consisting of the subtle elements in the universe, like space, ether, electromagnetic waves, all those things which cannot be seen or heard. So that is the subtle body of the Vishwarup, but again it is also material, just like our subtle body is also material. Last time, in response to the question of Amrit Gaurangi Mataji, we discussed that the subtle body is left behind and it is finished when a jiva gets mukti. There is no subtle body in the spiritual world. But in the material world, just like the living entities have a subtle body, even the Virat Roop has a subtle body. But again, this is all material and it is imagined. That is what is being explained here. And what is the meaning of this? Otherwise, we could not have repeated births. Why do we have repeated births? We have repeated births because of our subtle body, because of the impressions and desires in the mind. The disease of the gross body is finished with death. If this gross body has cancer, the cancer will kill the gross body. But the disease of the subtle body are lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, false ego. And they afflict the subtle body birth after birth after birth, never go away. And it is because of the diseases of the subtle body that we keep taking repeated births. Therefore, the subtle body is also called Karana Sharir, because it is the Karan, it is the cause of our staying in this material world. And therefore, it is important to do Chetodarpana Marjanam, to cleanse the subtle body of dirty desires. Second last verse for today. Yatre me sadasad rupe prati shiddhe swasam vida avidyayatmani krite iti tad brahma darshanam. Whenever a person experiences by self-realization that both the gross and subtle bodies have nothing to do with the pure self, at that time he sees himself as well as the Lord. That is called Atma Sakshatkar. Realizing oneself beyond the gross and the subtle bodies as a spirit soul, and also realizing the Supreme Lord. Verse number 34. Constitutional position. If the illusory energy subsides and the living entity becomes fully enriched with knowledge by the grace of the Lord, then he becomes at once enlightened with self-realization and thus becomes situated in his own glory. So by the grace of the Lord, when we get real knowledge, then we become enlightened in self-realization. What is the meaning of self-realization? To understand oneself as Jivara Swarup hai Krishna Nitya Das, as a Krishna Das, and to understand what is our name in the spiritual world, what is our form in the spiritual world, what is our service eternally in the spiritual world. Understanding all these attributes about oneself is called Atma Sakshatkar, self-realization. And this happens by the grace of the Lord. By the grace of the Lord. And then we are situated in our own glory. What is that? The glory of being a servant of Krishna. The glory of being Krishna Das. So this is the sum and substance of these verses. Now from verses 35 to 39, again there is change in the topic. There is understanding of the Lord given, and then verses 40 to 44, there is glorification of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So all this we will discuss in the next class. I'm sorry, dear devotees, I wanted to complete the chapter, but we could not complete. I think we will just have to do 3 classes. I was thinking Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so that we can have more time, and we'll limit it to 1 hour. We'll try to stop around this time by 9:30. So now let me quickly go through the questions. Hare Krishna, there are many questions here. So let me see if I can minimize this. So first is Sharanagat Mataji. Why Asuri Brahman? Asuri Brahman, Mataji, seems to be the name of a person who was a recipient of this divine knowledge by Lord Kapiladev.
Yeah.
receives. So he is just one person. Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji, Hare Krishna. Prithu Maharaj, Balana Shakti means Palana Shakti. He represents Palana Shakti, where he represents the potency of the Lord to maintain all the living entities as the king. So he represents the Palana Shakti of the Lord. You have also read Palana Shakti. Oh, Sonali Sharnagat Mataji responded. Okay. Palana Shakti means ruling power. Oh, Amrit Gaurang Mataji also answered. Vinit Prabhu. Prabhuji, does each avatar of the Lord have a frequency of appearance? What is it? No, there is no fixed frequency. Whenever there is a need, whenever there is yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam surjamyam. Whenever the Lord wants to reduce the adharma in society, whenever the Lord wants to show his mercy to his devotee, the Lord appears. He appears in many forms. These are just some forms, but Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita says, just like there are innumerable waves in the ocean, always coming and going. Similarly, Krishna is always incarnating in different universes. There are innumerable incarnations of the Lord. And Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar, Nama Haite Haya Sarva Jagata Nistar. Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. In Kali Yuga, Krishna has come as Nam. He's everywhere. He's everywhere. Nam Namakari Bahudani Yasarvati. So we are very fortunate. Mukta Sangha Prabhu. Devarshi Narad Muni is third avatar of the Lord. Narad Muni explains that in his previous birth, he was a son of a maid servant. In his previous life, was that an incarnation too? No. In the next life, when he appeared as the mental son of Lord Brahma, that is the incarnation, Narad Muni. Is that okay, Mukta Sangha Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Since young age, we have been hearing only 10 avatars. How do you segregate these 22 incarnations and Dasha avatars? So these are not 22 incarnations. These are just a sample 22 mentioned, because in the verse immediately after that, it was mentioned that there are innumerable asankhya avatar. There are innumerable incarnations, but just for the sake of, because the question was asked by the sages, Sri Suta Goswami has enumerated sample 22 incarnations. The Dasha avatars, on the other hand, are Swamsha avatars. They are Swamsha avatars, most of them, and all of them are Leela avatars, categorized as Leela avatars, all the Dasha avatars. And they are very prominent because they perform various Leelas, and there are many lessons that can be learned. So they are very prominent. So therefore they are immortalized by the great poet Acharya, Shri Jayadev Goswami, in his Dasha Avatar Stotra. Is that okay, Mukta Sangha Prabhu?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu.
These 22 incarnations are either one or more combinations of all 6 types of avatars. Correct. Yes. Some of them are Swamsha. Krishna is Swayam Bhagwan. Balram is the first incarnation. Parshuram is Shakti-Avesh avatar. Then Narsimhadev is Amsha avatar. So like that. Saujanya Mataji. Did all these incarnations happen in order of the number sequence explained, 1 to 20? This is, I don't think it is in the necessarily all of them in the order. They don't have to be. Let me see. So yes, Kumaras came, Varahadev. Over there, yes, they came in the order, but here I'm seeing between Devarshi Narad and the Kumaras, I don't know who came first. And
they are not in order.
Not in order, no? So it doesn't look like they are in order. Although it appears, because there is Buddha, then Kalki. Some of them are Mataji, but I don't know if all of them are in chronological order. The Bhagavatam doesn't mention specific chronology. Is that okay, Saujanya Mataji?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Sharanagat Mataji. Isn't Bali Maharaj's wife considered as very great devotee? Who was she? What was her background? Hare Krishna. So husband represents Sharanagati, Sharanagat Mataji, Atma Nivedanam. Bali Maharaj's wife, I have to think. What was her background? Let me do some research on this, Sharanagat Mataji, and I will try to have a better answer next time.
So I asked because when Bali Maharaj offered his himself and said that like you can put the third step on me. So that time his wife, I mean, it's only one sentence is Bhagavatam that she laughed and she, I mean, laughed or smiled and said that he still thinks that like, you know, he's separate from Krishna or like, you know, so when he covered in 2 feet everything, so that is like even Bali Maharaj included in that. So he's still thinking like that ego is there. That's what that is something is coming from her. So I really wanted and very curious about who was she and what was her background. So thank you.
She was Bindavali, Prabhuji. It's in the 8th canto.
She was what?
Bindavali.
Vrindavali?
Bindavali.
Bindavali.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's in the 8th canto, Prabhuji.
Okay. So I'll try to get some more, if I can, get some more information about her. So yes, what was her background? Then, so yeah, I will try to find out next time. Saroja Nandini Mataji, after Bali Maharaj surrendered himself to Krishna, why was he given Rasatala, which comes in the lower planetary system? Also, is it more opulent than Indralok, Swargalok? It can be. So just like, so the demigods and demons both are very powerful, and just like Indralok is very opulent, even the Rasatal planets, even the planets controlled by the demons, they are very, very opulent. So yes, they are very opulent. Generally, they are in the mode of passion and ignorance, but because Bali Maharaj is a Mahajan, he's a great devotee, and the Supreme Lord is there with him as his Dwarpal, it is a transcendental abode. Is that okay, Sarojanandini Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
But even lower planets can be very opulent because the demons are also very powerful. Therefore, in Vritrasur Maharaj also in the end of 6th canto, he prays, Na Nagaprishtam, Na Chaparyameshtam, Na Sarvabhaumam, Na Rasadhipatyam. Na Rasadhipatyam. I don't want to become the Pati, the ruler of Rasatal, because it is very opulent. Na yoga siddhi rapunar bhavam va samanjasatve virahaya kangshe. I don't want any of these things. Yoga siddhi, Sarvabhauma, becoming the king of heaven, becoming the king of Rasatal. I don't want any of these things. I don't want to become the ruler of the planets of the Nagas, because there also there is a lot of Amrit. So I don't want any of these things if it is going to separate me from you, if it is going to take me away from you. Samanjasatve virahaya kangshe. I don't have any akanksha to have any of these things if it is going to cause viraha from you. I want to be with you, my Lord. So that was Vritrasur Maharaj's prayer.
Mine, you can just ignore, Prabhuji, the next one. Sorry, I was just trying to write something. I was just that we,
Which
this
one is
24 avatars, except for the Kalaki avatara, everywhere else that avatara's name and the Leela is, or like what is the purpose of that avatar is mentioned, but not for Kalki. So I was just
Kalki.
for myself. Sorry. So
Yeah,
sorry.
Kalki avatar will be described in detail in the 12th canto, Mataji.
Okay.
Kill the atheist. Yeah. Divya Ananda Prabhu has shared something. You want me to open this, Prabhuji? Something.
No, it's the verse Prema Dhana Vina Vyartha Daritra Jivana.
Oh, you shared that verse. Thank you. Very nice verse. Bhagavati Vasudha Devi Mataji, number 1. While Nitya Dharma is not to be disturbed by any reason of Naimittik Dharma, it was said even when some sutak happens at family life, death, birth, etc., it should not be stopped or disturbed. But it is okay to keep the deity worship continued at home. Is Pancharatri ki vidhi or deity worship stands say it should not be done for few days in those houses, or is it only for Shaligram worship like that? So I think the question is that when there is a death in the family, does sutak apply to devotees or not? Is that the question, Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, because Pancharatrika Vidhi, those also will have some rules. Should we follow that? Is it Naimitika or?
So there are two paths. There is Pancharatrika Vidhi and there is Bhagavat Marg. And both are important. Srila Prabhupada said they are like the 2 tracks of a railway train. Both are important. But if we have to choose between the 2, then we should choose the Bhagavat Marg. Because Bhagavat Marg deals with Bhagavat Dharma. And Bhagavat Dharma is the Jaiva Dharma, the Nitya Dharma. So it depends on the adhikar of the devotee. If the devotee is surrendered, then Sutak does not apply. If the devotee is not surrendered, then one must follow these traditions of Sutak. But if one is surrendered and one is convinced that I belong to Guru Gauranga and Kirtaniya Sadahari and Bhakti should be ahaituki, apratihata, there should be no interruption. If one is in that conviction, then Sutak does not apply. It's a matter of adhikar. It's a matter of one's conviction and eligibility based on one's shraddha. If the shraddha is strong,
But how do we know always devotee feels I am fallen?
So one needs a Shiksha Guru in one's life. These are the questions that we can ask one's Shiksha Guru who knows us, who knows how we are practicing bhakti. And also it's a question of internal bhav. For example, if there is Sutak, we feed our children, we eat. Why we should not serve our deities then? If we consider the deities to be our family members, our Nitai Gauranga, our Radha Krishna, our Jagannath, we consider them to be ours. They are mine. They have appeared in this home. This home belongs to them and I am their servant. If we have this bhav, then how we can eat without feeding them? Or how we can compromise their service? Death is going to happen. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi, it's going to happen. Ahani ahani bhutani gachanti hayamalayam. Every day people are dying. But after many, many such births and deaths, we have got an opportunity for Hari Bhajan or Bhagavad Seva. So if we are in that thasak, if we have that conviction, if we have that firm faith, and we have that firm bhav, then it does not apply. We should always continue the service that we have received from Shri Guru Shri Gauranga. Chanting, deity worship, reading Ashtakams, reading Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and all other activity, all other limbs of bhakti. Is that okay, Mataji?
Yes.
But specifically, one should ask one's Shiksha Guru. If Shiksha Guru says follow, then we follow. We can give our deities to some devotee friend. When Krishna came as son of Devaki and Vasudev as Swayam Bhagwan, can it be called incarnation as he, us, Avathari, is avatar and incarnation or different? So yes, Krishna is avatari and Krishna is avatar both. He is avatari because he is the source of all incarnations. And because Krishna himself came, Swayam Bhagwan came in Dwapar Yuga, so he is also an avatar, because avatar literally means one who descends. Is that okay, Mataji?
Incarnation is a translation for avatar.
Yes. There is no exact equivalent in the English language, because English language is a very poor language. But yes, for all practical purposes, we can substitute avatar as incarnation.
Because Krishna is also avatar and avatari, so we can call Krishna as incarnation.
Incarnation and incarnator, both.
Okay.
Are all Shakti Avesh avatar of some elevated souls are actually Nitya Siddhas in spiritual world and has come for some purpose, or even conditioned souls after purification becoming pure devotees can also be Shakti Avesh avatar? Hare Krishna. So my understanding is generally it is the Nitya Siddhas who will come as Shakti Avesh avatars, but Krishna is Swarat, he is fully independent. He can give his Shakti to any Siddha devotee, but one has to be Siddha, like you said, purified. So whether one is Nitya Siddha or one is Sadhana Siddha or Kripa Siddha, Krishna is free and independent. He can invest his Shakti in anyone. There is no hard and fast rule for Krishna. But generally the understanding is that the eternally liberated souls will bring Krishna's Shakti as Shakti Avesh avatars, like Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is a Nitya Siddha. Radha Nam Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. If all the acharyas and their philosophy are correct, why does Prabhupada stress Achintya Bhed over Mayavad philosophy preached by Shripad Shankaracharya? Because Achintya Bhedabhed philosophy is for the highest good. So all are true, all are correct, but there is still hierarchy. So what we learn in mathematics in the first grade, 2 plus 2 is 4, that is also true. What we learn in 5th grade, 3 multiplied by 17, that is also true. What we learn in middle school, we may start learning some more complex algebra, geometry, that is also true. And what we learn in high school, pre-calculus and calculus, that is also true. All are true, but one may, for a elevated advanced student, one will not say that, hey, you go and study elementary school mathematics. No, one will say, no, you go, you have the qualification, you go and study the PhD level mathematics, because that is also true, but it is a higher level of mathematics. So like that, Achintya Bhedabhet Tattva is the final culmination. After all the acharyas, Shripad Shankaracharya, then Shri Ramanujacharya, then Shri Madhvacharya, then Vishnu Swami, then Nimbarkaditya, all these great Vaishnavacharyas, they came and they gave their philosophical doctrines. All of them are great, all of them are correct, all of them can take us to Vaikuntha. But then Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes and takes the essence of all of them, and he gives us the Achintya Bhedabhet Tattva, which is the final, the highest philosophy that Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada is stressing that. So is that okay, Mataji? All are correct, just like different levels of math, but Srila Prabhupada is stressing the highest. Yad jnatva neha bhuhyanyaj natevam avashishyate. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, one who understands this, there is nothing more left for such a person to understand. And that same person who spoke that, Krishna, came as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And his philosophy, Srila Prabhupada is propounding as a Senapati Bhakta. Is that okay, Radha Nam Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji. What is addressing Dev, like Narsimha Dev, Varaha Dev? It is also used for Indra Dev, who is demigod. Is common addressing both Lord and demigod? So yes, Dev is actually addressed to Bhagwan. Even Prabhu is an address to Bhagwan. Prabhu Ramchandra. But we call each other Prabhus. Radha Nam Prabhu, Ram Sham Prabhu, Dilip Prabhu, Ajay Govind Prabhu. So Prabhu, because they are also Ishwar Sarva Bhutanam Hridaya Arjuna Tishtati. They have Krishna in their heart, and also they are very nicely representing Bhagwan. So they can be called Prabhu. You are my master. Ultimate master is Krishna, but they are also masters, Prabhu. And similarly, Dev actually is a term for Bhagwan Krishna. He is Vasudev. He is Vasudev. But other demigods who have received some Shakti, some Vibhuti from Bhagwan, they are representing Vasudev. So then we can call them also Dev, like Indra Dev, Surya Dev. But they are all servants of Krishna. Ekela Ishvara Krishna, Arasara Bhritya. Jaisha Nachay Taise Sabakare Nritya. Is that okay, Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Is Indra Bhagavan always wrong? You can never say Indra Bhagavan.
So Bhagwan also is a term for Krishna, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sarva Avatari Krishna Swayam Bhagavan, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. So Bhagwan is a term for Krishna, but anyone who is a pure devotee and who is representing Krishna, who has received the potency of Krishna, can be called as Bhagwan. Like Shri Shukdev Goswami in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is addressed as Bhagwan. Shripad Narad Muni in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is addressed as Bhagwan. So Lord Shiva in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is addressed as Bhagwan. Our Lord Mahadev, he is addressed as Bhagwan. So yes, anyone who has received the potency of Krishna, who is representing Krishna, who is pure, may be addressed out of respect as Bhagwan. But originally, it is a name for Krishna. Prabhu, Dev, Bhagwan, these are all names for addresses for Krishna. Is that okay, Mataji?
Thank you.
Ramsham Prabhu. What is that? You have Bali Maharaja's wife known as Vindhyavali, who was decorated with a necklace of pearls. Immediately came large golden water pot, brought full of water, worship his lotus feet. So Ramsham Prabhu has answered the question. Krishna Murti Prabhu has written, not Shankaracharya, I suppose. Prabhu, can you unmute? I didn't understand your question. Not Shankaracharya, I suppose.
Yes, sorry, Prabhu. I just wanted to say that as far as the different acharyas are concerned, so we do accept all the Vaishnava acharyas, but as we know that Shankaracharya is Incarnation Lord Shiva, but he came purposely to to give a wrong philosophy, as it is mentioned in the different Puranas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also acknowledged that.
Yeah, but we accept some things that Sripad Shankaracharya has given us. We accept Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. We accept his Jagannath Ashtakam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would sing Jagannath Ashtakam during the Rath Yatra. It is written by Sripad Shankaracharya. So those things we accept. Ganga
Right,
Stu.
Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. So, okay, that is the end of the questions. Now I see many hands who are blessing me, golden hands, all devotees of the golden avatar, Mahaprabhu. So, but we are way over time. And but Ajay Goindru, please go ahead. We can take few.
Prabhuji, my question was related to the verse number 30, where it says that the conception of the Virat or the universal form as appearing in this material world is imaginary. Whereas Bhagavad Gita 11.5, Krishna is himself saying, Paschame Partha Rupani, I'll show you my forms with hundreds and thousands of, multicolored divine forms. And also how, when Krishna is something is there and showing to Arjun is imaginary. How do we understand that?
Virat means great. Virat means great. But that form that Krishna showed to Arjun, that is not exactly the Virat Roop that is being referred here, Prabhu. This Virat Roop is how we say that the higher planets are the head of Vishnu. The lower planets are the feet of Vishnu. The sannyasis came from the heart of Vishnu. The Brahmanas come from the head of Vishnu. Kshatriyas represent the arms of Vishnu. So they came like that. So that imagination is the Virat Roop. The form that Lord Krishna showed, that is also called the universal form, the Virat Roop. And that has some features of this imagined form, but that is a different form. There he saw all the Maharathis like Karna and Dronacharya and Bhishmadev getting smashed against the teeth of that Virat Roop. So that was a very terrible and fearsome form that specially Krishna showed Arjun as his mercy upon Arjun, and therefore he says nobody has seen this form before.
Right.
So whereas the Virat Roop is not a form that can be really seen, it's an imagined form. It is basically the whole material universe is a body of Vishnu. That is the Virat Roop. How it is.
So two Virat forms are different in the context when you're talking.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. The one that Arjun saw is not the same as being referred to in verse number 30.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Then Shama Kishori Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Prabhuji, you described that when one is liberated, the subtle body falls off. So if someone is in the Brahma Jyoti and they don't have their subtle body with them, then how do they, because we have heard from Srila Prabhupada that they can again fall back into the material world.
Yeah.
So without a subtle body, then how do they have desires and all that, and how do they fall back again?
So it's not that once they are from the Brahma Jyoti, when a living entity comes into the material world, that is described in detail in Chaitanya Charitamrita, how that happens. First, one is present in an unmanifested form in the body of Lord Mahavishnu. And then by coming in contact with the three modes of material nature and all the material elements in the Mahat Tattva, which includes mind. The elements are earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. So subtle body is given to the soul when the soul enters the creation, at the beginning of creation. When the soul enters, whether one is coming from Brahma Jyoti, but one ultimately enters the material world, enters the Mahat Tattva by the glancing of Mahavishnu. We come through Mahavishnu. And at that time, by contact with the material nature, we are given a subtle body, and then we are given a gross body.
But Prabhuji, do even liberated souls come back like this? So even if we get liberated, we again, when there's creation, will again come back?
If one has reached Vaikuntha, one never comes back again. Lord Krishna says that न तद भास्यते सूर्यो न शशांको न पावक यद गत्वा न nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. That once we attain Krishna, we will never come back in this material world. Mahatmanam, what is that? Mam upetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti. Mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gatam. Once mam upetya, once we attain Krishna, we never come back to this material world. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvata tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti. Mam iti swarjana. Once we go to Krishna, we never come back to this material world. Even the last aphorism of Vedanta Sutra, Brahma Sutra, is anavritti sa shabdat. Anavritti shabdat. Twice it is repeated for emphasis. That once we get liberated because of Shabda Brahma, then we never come back to this material world. Anavritti. Anavritti. We never come back to this material world. So nobody falls down from Vaikuntha. One cannot fall down from Vaikuntha. As far as Jaya and Vijay coming is concerned, we clearly know from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, it is clear evidence that it was a Leela. It is clearly mentioned in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, it was a Leela of the Lord, because they are eternal associates. At every Vishnu temple, Jaya and Vijay are there as Dwarpals. So they are Hari Parshads. They are associates of the Lord Hari. And this was a Leela. Because if Jaya Vijay would not have fallen down, there would have been no Ramachandra. This Sunday, we would not be celebrating Ram Navami. There would be no appearance of Krishna and Balaram and Narasimhadev and Varahadev. That would not be there. So this is a Leela. But nobody falls from Vaikuntha. Nobody falls from Vaikuntha. As far as we are concerned, we have been always Nitya Baddhas. We were never with Krishna. We have never seen Krishna. We have never been to Golok Vrindavan. We have never been to Vaikuntha, ever. Ever. But once we get there, we never come back. Mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvam napnuvanti. Mahatmana. We never come back. It is all over the Vedic literature. Nowhere it is said that after we attain Krishna, after we attain Vaikuntha, we'll again fall down. Nowhere. Srila Prabhupada also did not say that. Once we attain Krishna, we never come back. It is explained by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Jaiva Dharma. Whatever I'm telling you is based on Jaiva Dharma. That we have always been away from Krishna. Krishna bhulya jiv anadir bahir mukh. Ata eva maya tare deha samsar dukh. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Anadi bahir mukh means we are always Krishna bahir mukh. We are never Krishna unmukh. Krishna sammukh. We have always been turned away from Krishna. There was never a time when we were with Krishna. That doesn't happen. Because see, if someone attains Krishna and then falls down, what does it mean? It means Maya is more powerful than Krishna. The attraction power of Maya is more powerful than Krishna's attraction. How can that be possible? Sarva akarshita hi iti Krishna. Krishna is one who is all attractive. So one who has attained Krishna will never fall down. So who falls down? Śrīmad Bhāgavatam describes. Ye anne arvindaksha vimukta maninas tvayashta bhavad avishuddha buddhaya aruya krachena param padam tata patanti adho. Anadrad yashmat angraya. Anadrad yashmat angraya is to be underlined in this verse. Anadrad yashmat angraya. One who does not have adar, one who does not have respect for the lotus feet of Krishna, such a person falls down. But one who is Bhagwan realized, one who has taken shelter of Bhajahure Mana Shri Nandanandana, one who has taken shelter of Abhaya Charana Aravindari, that person will never ever fall down. And Navavida Bhakti talks about Pada Sevanam. Our process is to worship the lotus feet of Krishna. Ai Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Budhav Kripaya Tava Pada Pankajastita Dhuli Sadrisham Vichintaya. So Śrīmad Bhāgavatam describes that we are like an arrow, and Shri Guru and the Vedas, they are like the bow shooting us, and the target is the lotus feet of Krishna. So our aim is the lotus feet of Krishna. So therefore a devotee will never fall down. But constitutionally we have been Nitya Baddha. From the beginning of the creation we have been Nitya Baddha. Although we are Krishna's marginal energy. Jivera Swarup hai Krishnera Nityadas, Krishnera Tatastha Shakti Bheda Bhed Prakash. We are Krishna's Tatastha Shakti. And we have the tendency to be under Maya or under the Divya Prakriti, Devi Prakriti Ashrita. And Krishna consciousness means to leave Bhinna Prakriti and go towards Daivi Prakriti. And once we attain Krishna, we never fall down. Is that okay?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, Nikunja Leela Mataji.
Prabhuji. So my question is from text 15. As I said, like two things can be true at the same time. So does it mean that the same pastime is going on in the two different universes with a little changes? Does it mean?
Yes, exactly. That was the point, that there can be Kalpa Bhed. Remind me sometime when you have time, you remind me this. I will tell you a very nice story about Kalpa Bhed, about Hanumanji. Today we don't have time. It will take around 15 minutes to tell that story. But yes,
sure, Prabhuji.
Krishna Leela is Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta. Krishna Leela manifests in different ways, a lot of variety, and there can be difference like that.
Yeah, like Prabhuji, like Ramachandra, like green and
Ghanasham. Ghanasham.
Yeah, Ghanasham.
Exactly. Ramsham Prabhu said very correctly. Yes, like that. So, Swati Mataji, Dilip Prabhu.
I'm sorry, Prabhuji, I have a one more question.
Yes. Nikunja Leela Mataji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So how can we get rid of the all like this in verse 29th? You said the Phala Shruti of the reading all the verses of the Incarnation. So is we can get rid of miseries. So because this material world is bound by the three modes of material, these miseries. So how we can get rid of being like by only just reciting these verses? So how it is possible to get rid from this miseries?
So this world is Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. This world is Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. Anityam Asukham Lokam Imam Prapya Bhajaswamam. So yes, although this world is a world full of miseries, but what it means is by taking shelter of Krishna, by becoming Krishna Bhaktas, Krishna gives us the tolerance. Krishna gives us titiksha, tolerance, where we can tolerate. So these calamities will come as they come on everyone. Janma, Mutyu, Jara, Vyadhi will happen to everyone, but we will still be blissful. Srila Prabhupada's disciple, His Holiness Sridhar Swami. You have heard of His Holiness Sridhar Swami Maharaj, one of our Guru Varga in ISKCON. He left this world around 2 decades ago. He left this world in Sridham, Mayapur. Very great devotee. And when my revered spiritual master Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj went to meet him in Sridham, Mayapur before his departure, he said something very wonderful to Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj. And Maharaj was explaining that in one of his lectures. He told His Holiness Sridhar Swami Maharaj said that the threefold material miseries are compulsory. The threefold material miseries are compulsory, but suffering is optional. The threefold material miseries, Adhyatmik Klesh, Adidevik Klesh, Adibhautik Klesh, they are compulsory. Everybody will have to suffer. But everybody will have to experience them. So they are compulsory. The miseries are compulsory, but whether we suffer or not is optional. And the example is Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. With stage 4 melanoma cancer, I always give his example because I cannot see a better example in the contemporary time. In just 2005, Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj in Gita Nagari, his divine body is riddled with stage 4 melanoma cancer. He has cancer jutting out of his skin everywhere, popping out from his skin. He has got pathological fractures in his bones because of cancer everywhere. Cancer is in his liver, in his lungs, everywhere. He is reduced to skin and bones. He has lost so much weight. And he's telling his Sevites that it cannot get better than this. I'm so happy because with this cancer, I'm constantly thinking of Vrindavan, constantly thinking of Jai Jai Radhe, Jai Jai Sham, Jai Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham. And I will not exchange my position with anybody in this world. If someone wants to give me a very healthy body with no cancer, I don't want to exchange. I'm happy like this. I'm blissful. Why? Because I'm absorbed. I'm absorbed in Radha and Krishna. He said like that. And what did Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj do on the last day? Till his last day, he was trying to chant 40 rounds every day, which is the vrat he had taken when he got first initiation from Srila Prabhupada. Devotees take 16 round vrat. Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj had taken 40 rounds vrat. Every day I will read 2 hours your books. I will chant 40 rounds every day and I will distribute your books. He had taken a vow. And he kept it till his last day. And then he invited his beloved godbrother to read the Gopi Geet to him. And one verse was read by Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj. One verse of Gopi Geet was sung. English translation was read. Then some discussion. Then second verse of Gopi Geet. All the 19 verses of Gopi Geet were read and discussed. Minutes before passing away from this world. He was still lucid. He was still awake. And then with devotees doing kirtan and devotees coming from Barsana, Man Mandir, Madan Mohan Babaji, all these Brajvasis coming to bless him and to chant with him. They came and surrounded by a kirtan of devotees, holding Giriraj Shila on his head, holding Shaligram Shila in his right hand, having Srila Prabhupada's lotus footprints on his chest. Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, his body smeared with water from Radha Kund and Vrajraj. He left this body, left this world, chanting Harinam. And he was saying, I'm completely happy, completely blissful. So this is, Krishna consciousness really works. And what happens is, by taking shelter of Krishna, by becoming Krishna conscious, we develop immense tolerance to tolerate all these miseries. So miseries will come, but we will not suffer. We will be blissful. Anandam buddhi vardhanam pratipadam purnamrita swadanam. Is that okay, Mataji?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Swati Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanvat Pranam. Prabhuji, in text 23, it is mentioned 19th and 20th incarnation is Balram and Krishna ji. But in verse 28, it's mentioned Krishna's to Bhagwan's one. So why they are mentioned, one of the Lord Krishna is the incarnation, because Krishna is the original form and Balram is the second plenary form. Like from Balram only Aniruddha and Sankarshan, they are coming, right? So why they mentioned Krishna and Balram as a one of the avatars?
Right. So Krishna is mentioned because, see, avatar means one who descends. And Krishna is so merciful that he doesn't remain in Golok Vrindavan. He also comes. Among all other avatars, Krishna also comes. So avatari means one who sends all the incarnations. That is Krishna. But Krishna also becomes an avatar, which means he himself also comes. Not just he sends his amshas, his expansions, but sometimes he also comes. And because Krishna came in Dwapar Yuga with Balram, he is mentioned there. Therefore, we say Krishna is an avatar and Krishna is avatari also. Both. That's why he is mentioned. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So dear devotees, we'll really end now. I have to go. But we'll continue this. We can continue the questions next time. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai
Hare
Shri
Krishna. Prabhuji, just 1 second. So you were saying about this Kalpabhed story and all that. Is it possible for you to just audio record it and post it in our WhatsApp group?
Okay. Actually, I spoke about it in one of the Chaitanya Bhagavat classes, but I don't remember which class. So I will send you. Who is asking this question?
This is Sharnagata.
So I will try to send you that recording of that lecture.
Okay. Thank you.
It's one of the Chaitanya Bhagavat classes.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.